What's up, everybody? Sebastian here from CoinPoker. I'm here with two regs who both participated in the CoinPoker Midstakes Championships, as did I. And I guess Justin's probably still battling, but I think me and Matt are done. I caught strep throat, so unlucky for me. But we're soldiering on. So yeah, I just wanted to hear from you guys how you found the championships. Anything that surprised you, anything you took away from it in a broader sense.
Do
I
you want
guess
to
I
go
can go
first?
first.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Justin. I play by the screen name Clairvoyant in the challenge for those of you who might have participated. Like Sebastian said, I'm probably still trying to play a bit more, but realistically, my hopes of winning anything are pretty gone now. I finished at currently about 12K in EV, so definitely good results. A lot of that came early, and since then it's been a bit of a struggle and a grind. I think the main thing for me is I don't play professionally. I'm a PhD student and I'm playing poker on the side, and this amount of volume is not something I've really played before in a month. So that's been the main test for me. And then pool's pretty tough. I feel like um, I've learned some about my own game as you kind of see people exposing some holes and imbalances in your own game. So hopefully I can go from there. Not completely sure what to take away from it yet, but it's been tough. I've been studying, and it's been nice to see kind of my work come together and see that improvement in my own game.
Justin, is there? I mean, you've been quite successful in the competition. Do you think that there's anything in particular that you felt that you were doing that perhaps other regs weren't doing, or some element of the meta that you felt you were a step ahead of, or do you think it was just kind of a combination of run good and just playing decently overall?
I think I played decently overall. Definitely some run good. In terms of specific edges, I think there's a lot of stuff blind v blind where even people aren't familiar with preflop and aren't comfortable with the limping ranges, which you have to do a lot of, especially in ante. So I think the time I spent studying preflop for the specific structures did pay through. I feel like I was able to build pretty well constructed cold calling and three betting ranges in spots. And some people were probably a bit too top heavy on their three bet, and they leave the cold call range too capped. And then what you've seen as a response from this pool is people squeezing like maniacs. So you have to be kind of prepared to deal with that. Post flop, I feel less good about on the turn and river. I feel like I found myself guessing more than I would have liked, but I think that's something that will come with time. I want to be aggressive in these games, obviously, but I think the weeks I've done better is just knowing when to pass on some river spots, because there are definitely a lot of spots where you will get stationed.
Yeah, I think I pulled like a 9x or 9x plus like river check raise all in probably 6 times in the challenge, both with value and bluffs, and I don't think I ever got a fold. I think,
Wow.
yeah, it's just every time I got called, so that's kind of funny. Yeah, Matt, did you want to add anything about how you found the whole thing?
Yeah. So, um, I just want to say that I think I was really looking forward to this challenge because obviously we play in a ring fence pool, and to me, whether I won or lost, it was going to be kind of irrelevant. I just wanted to see, especially because of the rumors that we might go back to rest of world. I just wanted to see how we would fare, and I think overall we've kind of held our own. Um, I honestly didn't know what to expect, as I kind of said, and I think I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. I mean, I personally have always held the opinion I don't think there's a huge difference between the top regs in our ring fence pool to rest of world, and I think after this challenge, I think that's I still think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, I mean, the results seem to kind of reflect that, right? I mean, there were probably 5 players from Ontario who played, and I think 4 of the 5 did quite well. Obviously, that's all kind of variance, but that's like a probably like 150,000 hands between the 5, maybe a bit less, more over 100,000 hands between the 5 players, and everyone did quite well. So yeah, it seems like, I mean, it was a challenge where there were players who play up to 5K who hopped in, and then there were guys that were shotting 500 for the first time who were also playing, and it did kind of feel like that, right? There were some people who it felt pretty easy to run over, and then there were some people where they were very, very strong, but I don't think those players on average 500 was their main stake. So
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that too, like playing with some of the higher stakes guys, because obviously we don't really have the opportunity to do so. But what was interesting to me, anyways, was the first couple days that I played, I noticed that, and I think a lot of people have even said on stream that a lot of people, they felt like they were just making a lot of hero plays, and you were getting raised in a lot of spots that you weren't normally used to. And over the first couple days, I was like, wow, this is kind of interesting. But once I started to get a big sample, and I put it into hand to node, and I was looking at some of the range comps, I think it's interesting because I don't actually think they're necessarily going as crazy as people think. I think it's just they're playing closer to optimal, which a lot of people aren't used to. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting observation as well.
yeah. I think that's often the case. You see massive adjustments to someone that seems like an outlier in pool, when in reality they're just an outlier for playing a little bit closer to solver.
Yeah, and one last thing I just want to add too is I think the biggest difference compared to our games as opposed to this, is a lot of people, they'll use gigantic sizes with bluffs. And sometimes you'll see that, but I found in this challenge you see it a lot more with value, and especially thinner value than you would necessarily expect. And when you look it up, it's probably not that bad. So it also has given me, I think, if I was to take away just some couple big picture things that I could work on going forward, is definitely considering the bigger sizes specifically for value. And then it was very interesting to see with the show table thing, some hands that people are using as bluffs, and it also, helped me kind of understand how I could potentially construct my range going forward differently than I had previously.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So some takeaways there. There were a couple of guys in the challenge who I found the most interesting. Some of whom were like Degenerator, Venator, Tuitamo, who seemed to just consistently make plays that were winning in practice that were like losing 6 big blinds in theory. Like they would like min raise in position or just make some crazy hero call, and those are the guys I wish I could take a sample of their brain, because I don't really know how to think about poker the way they do, but fortunately there were only a few of them. Those are the ones that really scare me. Even the guys that were really good, like Memphis or whatever, like, if you can kind of understand how they think, then it's not totally terrifying. But I just don't get how Tuitamo thinks about poker. He's just right a lot. So the three of us each brought 3 hands to discuss that we played in the challenge. And Matt, I think you volunteered to go first. So whenever you're ready, feel free to pull them up, and Justin and I will ask you questions, maybe have some comments, and maybe we won't look at the solver too much, but yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think these are a couple interesting hands, not even necessarily the hand that I have, but just I was thinking of some big picture ideas to kind of go off what I was saying earlier. So first hand here, I'm in the big blind, and we face an open from the button. And I guess I should probably tell you what my hand is. Maybe you could put it on stream or whatever. I have King of Hearts, 9 of Diamonds. So anyway, I decide to 3-bet. We get a call. We get this flop, and on this board, I'm playing basically 70 or check. Any disagreements there? I guess is probably fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
So we bet. We get a call. Turn comes the 3 of clubs. Again, I have King of Hearts, 9 of Diamonds. I guess my first question is, how often are you guys barreling, if at all? And I guess overall, it's going to be important for the rest of the hand. How are you kind of constructing your turn barrel range, especially when it's kind of weird because I think this hand has antes. So with my normal sizes, what I've noticed is I've kind of gotten some weird SPR spots as well, where normally we'd be a little bit deeper here, but now we almost have an SPR of 1, which also kind of changes things, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of specific combo choice, I'd probably prefer to barrel either with a hand that contained a club or did not contain a diamond. So King 9 of Hearts or like King 9 off with a club. That's not to say that this hand is like losing to barrel or anything like that, but in terms of how to construct the trash range, that would be one way to discriminate. I think it's very, very, very easy to overbluff this spot given how many overcards reach this turn, and check folding is always really ugly in this spot because it feels very face up if you check call or just even check in general, since most players don't find sufficient number of traps. But I have no particularly strong feelings about like holding the 9. I mean, I guess you block 10-9 and stuff, but that may even fold turn if you b66 again and set up for like a tiny river jam or something. So I don't know. Justin, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think relating to the SPR, I probably would have gone slightly smaller on flop, but it doesn't really matter. And I think we probably shouldn't even bet this hand on flop a ton. This is just a bad spot for us, right? We're going to have to check fold a lot of stuff, and I think it's okay just to check fold a bunch of stuff like this. This combo seems kind of reasonable to barrel, but I wouldn't think you would do it much. My size would probably be something like half pot on turn. Not really a fan of jamming. I know I've seen a lot of people do it in the challenge, but I think it's kind of bad personally.
Yeah.
I'll go 40-50% if we want to barrel. Yeah, I think you need to pick stuff with a club. Is a club or two hearts are the most obvious ones, or maybe two bigger overs like Queen 10 or something. But the 9 is probably good. I think it mainly just is going to block continues because 10-9 is not folding. There's some 9-8 they can have and such. Jack 9 might fold,
So
but
yeah, so I totally agree with kind of some of the things you said. I think it's important for how this hand plays out just to kind of think about our range, because again, this is what I think this hand's more to illustrate. On flop, I do kind of agree with you. I have like a set strategy where these kind of certain trash hands I'll bet at a certain percentage just to have in there because solver always seems to have those. So that's kind of what I just end up doing. But anyway, it goes check check, and we get the river ace,
yeah.
and I had anyways. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are first. Again, we have King of Hearts, 9 of diamonds, but it doesn't really matter. We could just talk about any hand, really.
Yeah, so I mean, I think at first glance, maybe some more blue line oriented players might feel like this is too high up in range or something to bluff, but I don't think that's really the case when you factor in how many of your gutties and open enders are just going to barrel on the turn. And even a hand like Queen High with no equity is probably going to barrel turn. So this is pretty close to bottom of range. I mean, we do have a lot of bottom of range as well, but just in terms of a sniff test, I think that this is a pretty nice spot to either jam or block. I think you're going to not get raised by a worse hand very often, or like turning a 7 into a bluff. I don't think you're gonna get bluffed very often, and I expect that some hands that maybe should consider calling, like King Queen of Clubs, might just fold river facing block. What do you think, Justin?
I think the comment about bottom of range isn't too important, right? Because realistically, we have no showdown value whether we have King 9 or probably anything sub King Jack, I want to say.
Yeah.
In my eyes, this is a pretty easy spot for us to overbluff, so I think we should be kind of careful. But yeah, of course, we get to bluff some stuff. I think primarily we'll play some block and then some shove as well. The shove probably has to be a bit thicker than it looks. Like, I'm not sure we can just send in a weak ace here that might prefer to do something like half pot, because I wonder if the call flop check back turn range is going to have a lot of hands like ace queen ace jack from villain. So I want to say to shove we probably need ace jack plus, but maybe that's wrong.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just a puzzle of working out which hands of our air we want to fire with.
Well, I think the funny thing is you're actually almost spot on. So I ran this hand right after, and I was curious to see, like, okay, what should I do here? And what was surprising to me is this spot as the big blind here is actually a range check on the river. And what was interesting about this spot, and maybe this also had something to do with the ante ranges, is they have insanely more ace-x than we do. Again, we 3-bet out of the big blind, and also we're going to be mixing some ace-x on the flop and some on the turn as well. And I think, as Justin said, this actually is a really easy spot for us to overdo it. And I think if we're bluffing everything here, especially as we kind of alluded to at the beginning of the video, people are definitely finding the amount of calls for sure. And I think this is just an easy spot to overdo it. And I just thought it was really interesting because at first glance, that's not something I immediately thought of, because you think, oh, ace overcard, better for the 3-better, right? But in this case, it wasn't at all.
Just for the sake of the argument, like, if you quarter potted river and your opponent had 5s, what percentage of the time do you think you get called? Like, do you think it's over 70% of the time?
That sounds about right to me.
Probably
roughly. 75, 80-ish, I would guess. But not sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is I mean, I agree, but I think the question I have about that is how much are they stabbing on the turn as well? Like in terms of range comp, what percentage of their range is these lower pairs versus ace-x, I guess?
Yeah, I guess that'll be very, very player sensitive, won't it? And then of course it is much more easy to have an offsuit ace than it is to have like exactly pocket 5s. So yeah.
And this was ante as well, right?
Yeah.
So
they're gonna have like all ace-10 off.
True.
Might fold flop, but yeah.
Ace-jack, I think, calls most of the time. And ace-queen, you're calling always.
I would expect the flop threshold you went 75 is probably something like ace-jack.
Ace-jack backdoor, you think, or you just think any combo of ace-jack?
Any ace-jack, and then ace-10, ace-9 backdoor, something like that. Ace-jack is probably indifferent on flop, I think, but I would guess it calls a good bit.
Yeah. But I just thought it was an interesting spot from a range perspective because, when I saw that in solver, I was like, wow, wasn't immediately obvious that would be the case. But
yeah, because it seems like your most natural give-ups on turn are going to be the top of your overcards, right? And so the ace, at first glance, actually smashes out of position. But I guess the range just contains so much junk that, you can't really just, like, build a range around ace-king and go crazy. So.
Yeah. And I think for what it's worth, something to consider as well is the range is when you have the ante. From the big blind, you're 3-betting a lot less, at least I'm pretty sure, relative to when you have raked ranges as well. So that also kind of makes a little bit of a difference.
I think that's just a rake function, so no rake, no ante, and no rake ante are probably similar 3-betting. But you 3-bet less, and I think also a lot of it is just back to our flop strategy. We're probably just not c-betting an ace extremely often. Yeah, and we just don't even have it as much from pre as we might expect. So, I think a lot of our air hands that we plan to check fold and turn are king high, queen nine, jack high, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a cool find because none of us figured this out, and it's a cool spot to be in villain shoes and realize that if you're facing a river barrel from the other guy, that they might be misapplying the spot. And I think it's looking at this hand. If I'm the button player now, I'm just never folding, right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So that's it for that one.
Sorry, what was the end of the hand? You check folded or went check or?
Oh yeah, I just check folded. Yeah, sorry.
He jammed.
Yeah,
and
long story short, I just check folded and that was it.
Oh wow, he didn't even
and he
jam.
ended up having ace queen.
Did he not jam? That's so interesting.
No,
that's weird.
3/4.
I can't.
I haven't seen this player at all though, so it might not even be a reg.
Yeah. Sometimes this is solver approved. I can never ever find it. I never know how to just bet RNG fold 25 big blinds left on the river.